57 participants in the room. We hope those numbers are going to keep climbing as we go by. We have about 2 minutes before we start the session for the day. We will afford other students who are yet to join the 2 minutes to join the session. In the meantime, I will properly introduce Dr. Balka Maina. He is the HOD of the Mass Communication Department, Federal University of Kashere. Once again, sir, you are welcome. We are very happy to have you here. And we hope that other members of faculty from other universities who indicated interest in joining the training to support their students would also show up to the training. So this is 11:09. We will be starting our session on application of core ethical principles in journalism at exactly 11:10. At exactly 11:10, Moturaya Alaka will be taking her session and then we'll be engaged for the next 40 minutes. Please pay attention. Please be very engaged. Do not hesitate to ask any questions you may have. You don't need to wait for one person to ask a question before you get your question out there. If you have anything you want to drop in the chat box, any message you want to drop in the chat box, please feel free to drop it, and the WSCIJ team is here and ready to respond to you. The time now is 10 minutes past 11. We are moving directly into our session for the day, led by Moturayo Alaka. Moturayo, thank you for joining us. You have the floor.
Oh, okay. I was muted. So I was saying, good morning, everyone. It's good to be here. If you heard me say good morning, please use your emoji to respond, and so that we can have a lively room. So again, good morning, everybody. If WSIJ permits me, okay, thank you. I'll do something that one of my professors taught to me. So if you would please first unmute everybody just for this time, then you mute people back. I know we want other in the class. And we'll just all say good morning in our languages. So please go ahead and unmute everyone and then I'll say 1, 2, 3, go, and then everybody will be able to say good morning. So 1, 2, we have more people. Okay, 1, 2, 3, go.
Good morning.
Kwana.
Good morning.
There are English people on this call because I heard good morning. I said in your language. Good morning. Did I hear Aji?
Good morning.
Yeah, we have such a beautiful culture as a country. Yes, obviously you can meet them. Did I say like I said? It would be great to have some of those words. I was saying that we have such a beautiful culture as a country, so many languages, so many cultures, and it's really a unifying point that we should explore more as a people. So again, good morning to everyone. I'll go quickly to a very short story. Mariam will give me a sign, maybe a chat when I have 10 minutes to go, so that I can be well, and then another sign at 5 minutes mark. So I'll tell a quick story, and this slide, I just recustomized it. I've shared it with I went to train on ethics, governance, and leadership, and running startups with a group of young people a couple of weeks ago. So I just adapted that to this. But I always love to tell the story to young people because I see myself in you all. So just now it's no longer just, but but still just to an extent. Just some years ago, about I think it's now over 30 years ago, I was a student in the secondary school, and we would tell stories, myself and my friends. My best friend then being somebody called Idowu Achibade. She's known publicly as Jola Kushimo now, and she's a professor in the US, and we share stories about the future, and would sit on our rusty bunks in the hostel. And I would say, oh, in journalism, oh God, I'm going to change the world. And she'll say, I'm going to become an academia and all of that. And we'll tell stories upon stories. And then in school, I was leading the press club of my secondary school, and write our stories. We'll present stories in the assembly ground. We'll tell stories of what we wanted to change in the country and how we were going to participate. And it's interesting that some years after that, some decades actually after that, and the story in real life is not as simple as it sounds, but it is just a story of possibility. Some years after that, when I was 7 in 2003, I served in Bochi. So I too, those who are from that end of the country, I served in Bochi in Tafawa Balewa local government. And when I was serving, my friend Ido, I call her Ido, she called me and said, oh, my boss is your boss. My boss is supposed to be your boss. She was serving in Lagos. And she said, you need to meet him. And so who is he? He said, it says and does everything that you talk about that you're going to do. He's already doing that. I said, that's interesting. And that is how I met the man called Mr. Dapodoyomi through my best friend from secondary school. And I spoke to him first on phone. And he said, when we finish your service, I said, in a couple of months. He said, well, come in and let's talk. And over 20 years later, we have been able to, with the help of a team and a very large faculty and a very supportive ecosystem of media organizations, we've been able to build an organization that is not just influencing journalism in the country, but is influencing it globally, and has helped to build a culture of investigative reporting in Nigeria. We did not start investigative reporting. I always like to say that disclaimer. Investigative reporting was functional. There were investigative journalism, journalists, including Dapo Yomi himself, who went on exile for 6 years under the Abacha regime because of his work. And, Kunle Achibade, who went to prison. But we have helped to popularize that culture of investigative reporting. And we're very proud of the work that we've done. And I tell that story because there are young people in the room. I don't know what your dreams are, but be sure that if you put in the work, if you do the right alignment, in a couple of years, you can leave those dreams, and those dreams can come true. So WSID is 20, and all of this year, that is all, since last year, that's all we've been talking about. We're 20, and we're very proud of the work the organization and its members of staff, past and current, have done to be able to put it where it is now. So let's move to ethics. So as what's speaking to application of core ethical principles, and I know by now those of you who are ethics is a foundational knowledge. I'm not attempting to lecture you on ethics, so it is not a theory class. I'm sure we have the great professors in class to do that. But I just want to talk about some practical stuff about ethics and journalism. So what's my aim for the class? My aim is a concept that is called metacognition. The concept of metacognition was created by the man called John Flavel. and he created it to speak to a state of being aware. Sometimes we live, we wake up, we go out, but we are not aware. We're not aware of what our decisions, the implications of our decision, the consequences of what we're doing today in 5 years, in 10 years. We're not aware of our relationships and the dynamics and what it can change. So I want us to get to metacognition, because metacognition helps us to do better. When you get to metacognition, a state of awareness, you do better. And I'm hoping that we all do just better. And where that metacognition is as regards ethical considerations that are necessary for a journalism that serves the public, a journalism that makes society better. So let's run quickly to, because we have a lot to get through, let's run quickly to the definitions. And I'm not going to dwell on this. I'm sure many of you have gone through classes on ethics, and some of you can actually, tell me one or two things about, theoretical frameworks and theories around ethics. But that's not the purpose of this class. Like I said, we want to get to metacognition. We want to apply our ethics to everyday journalism. So ethics is about moral principles that guide, decisions about right and wrong. It's a branch of philosophy. It speaks to values, customs, responsibilities. It has to do with good and evil, and it is a practice of right and wrong. I just repeated them just so that we know. It also governs how power is exercised. Now, ethics can be very individual, and it is individual in so many grounds, because ethics is different from law. And Mariam, my colleague who spoke to you, she's a barrister, so she knows this more than I do. Ethics is different from law, because ethics has a lot to do with our morality, and it has a lot to do with personal standards. But in communities where their ethics has become corporate, it has become something that they all do, everybody believes in it. You would see the beauty in the order in that community. You see the beauty in the expectations of office. You would see that beauty. For instance, I make a case, not to slight this person, but just to make a case on corporate ethics in a country. The United States, for instance, some of you might remember or might have read, there are very young people in the room, but I'm sure a doctor in the house may remember, and the older people, you may have heard about the Clinton case of having an affair when he was a president, and how that case was going to almost get him out of office. He was almost impeached as a president of the United States. And why? Because of the ethics of that country about, extramarital affairs, about, affairs. That case, if you bring it to Nigeria, might not even be a topic of discussion. And if it is discussed, there'll be a lot of debate around, well, it is business, it's body, it was consensual, it is a man, and that is how men are. Or, there'll be that. But he almost got impeached because of the corporate ethics of that country about fidelity. There's a corporate, and then about the office of, the president, how that office is supposed to be revered and what that office can do or cannot do. So ethics, when it is accepted at a corporate level, it looks really beautiful. I put media accountability because that is what we're talking about here. Well, the media holds governments, people in power accountable, not just government, any power dynamics, teacher and student relationship, pastor and congregation relationship, any power dynamics at all. The media holds power accountable, and the media holds everyone accountable, but media also needs to be accountable. There's a common saying that those who go to equity must also go with clean hands. So the media needs to be accountable. So we need to ensure that information that we share publicly, that they are fair, that they are accurate, that they are transparent, and ultimately that they're in public interest. So that's about the ethics. Why does ethics matter? It matters because it determines, public opinion. What journalism does determines public opinion. What journalism does determines policy. It determines reputation. For instance, if the Clinton case was a lie and somebody had spinned that story, imagine the damage to the person. There is a sports person, I forget his name now, who was accused of, sexual harassment wrongly. And, he has been cleared, but there is that stain on him, despite the fact that he never did it. So what we do can affect people's reputation. When you put out wrong information about other people, it can damage their reputation. It can damage their credibility, but it can also damage media credibility. Because if your platform is known as a platform that does not do its check, it can damage your credibility. It can damage legitimacy, and then it can break trust. But when it is in place, we build, an healthy public opinion space. Policies are strong as reputations are intact, credibility is upheld, there is legitimacy, and there is trust. Okay, so we move on. So there are three major things, anything that we teach about credibility. There are three, can be said to be holy grail. It is facts, it is accuracy, it is balance. It is that you must know that facts are sacred, that you must be accurate, and that you must be balanced. And balance is not true. Balance depends on the nuance of the story. Balance for a three-legged stool, for instance, is that the 3 legs are there. If it had 2 legs, then 2 legs are okay. Because sometimes balance is say, oh, listen to the other side. A lot of times there are multiple sides to a story. So a few things. But because I'm teaching this to young people, I've broken these 3 things into other subheads, and I'm teaching it as very personal, so that it helps you as you grow in your work. Number 1 is that you need to know who you are to be ethical. To be an ethical person, you need to have a clarity of identity. When your identity is mixed, it is very, very difficult for you to be able to be an ethical person when you've not settled identity. Because identity makes you know who you are, what you would not do, what you would not accept, what is a no for you, what is a yes. I find that in life, I've found that some decisions, they look quote and unquote easy to make for me personally, because there are some things that are already settled in terms of value. So if the value system is settled, you can say, oh, yes or no. I have been able to move my calendar, for instance, to show up at events that I consider critical because of my value system. Whether it is a paid event or it's not a paid event, it's not the question. It is that thing, it aligns with my value, and so I'll make time for it. On a personal level, for the relationships that I care about, debts, and it's very important to me, bets, debt, and major events like marriage and life. So if people are close to me, I try to show up for bets. I try to show up for milestones like marriages. If I can show up physically, show up in a way that the person knows that you care. And then debts, the final respect. I try to be there. The person is no longer there to see me there, but I try to show up. I'm just mentioning this because it is about my identity, about what I value. So what do you value? What is important to you, so that you can answer questions straight? You can know, I can take that job, I cannot take that job. There are jobs that I know already that I cannot take. There are jobs I know I can take it. So know your identity, know who you are. Then it can affect your journalism, which is every other thing that we're talking about. But also clear identity will help you choose when you start taking jobs, or even now, some of you are freelancing, what jobs you will take. Clear identity of the platform you want to be involved with, the organization you want to have your name with, because this is important. Now, when you are doing the work and as a person, truth and accuracy, you have to verify your facts. No matter how hot it is, hot, you have to verify it. And if I say anything that resonates with you, so that it can be interactive, you can share an emoji, you can disagree with an emoji even, and we'll take it in Q&A if it is that you disagree. So truth and accuracy, verify your facts. Forwarded as received is not a verification. You have not saved your audience by saying, oh, I forwarded it just I received it. You are supposed to be a gatekeeper. Check. If it sounds too good to be true, check. Whatever it is, just check before you share. Be sure before you share. Independence. You have to have no conflict of interest, or you declare your conflict of interest. If you are interested in a story, you have to declare it if you have interest. And then also, can you still hear me? Can you still hear me? Mariam, can you hear me? Okay, thanks. Thanks for the thumbs up. So independence. So minimizing people and communities, you have to think about what you're doing. Am I minimizing harm? What's the story I'm publishing, the story I want to write? Am I minimizing harm? Will people get hurt? And who will get hurt? Will people get hurt? Because, journalism, even investigative reporting, is not witch hunting. And I say that often. Investigative reporting is not witch hunting. We do it for public good. We do it because we want society to be better, not to pull the president down, not to pull the governor down. If the governor gets pulled down because he's unethical, and the president gets pulled down because the person is unethical, well, that happens. But that is not the reason we do what we do. We do what we do because we want the public to be served. So let us minimize harm. Accountability. You have to be answerable. If you are the journalist, something interesting about journalism and journalists is that we love asking questions, but we're not very good people at answering questions. And you might experience this more when you begin to practice. For those of you who want to practice, core journalism, we don't really like being asked questions, but, we must be answerable too. The story you're going to publish, you must be able to answer questions. That's why you must answer the questions before you publish. Transparency. Be honest about your perspectives and your limits. If, for instance, you are female and you've experienced, unfortunately, a sexual harassment, and you're doing a story about sexual harassment, it is good that you have a conversation about your biases with your editor. If you're someone who comes from a particular local area and there is a conflict between your local area and a private organization that has set up a business, you have to say that I live in that community and this thing actually affects me, so that you are transparent, so that your biases are on the table, and your editor can help you to read through your story and pick places where you have opinionated instead of just stating the facts. You have to be transparent about, your conflicts. And then you have to be inclusive. Journalism has a tendency to be elitist. We have a tendency to want to pick and choose who we speak to. We have a tendency to define what voice is, to say that, for instance, voice is who is wealthy. Voice is who is in the urban area. But the person in the local area also has a voice. The person who cannot speak English has a voice. So it is very critical. It is important for us to ensure that we're transparent and that we're inclusive. I'll move on because I'll repeat some of these things. So our first case study, and when you raise up your hand, I'll take 3 feedbacks here. When you raise up your hand, you'll be unmuted. A story is trending online. This is not your debate. Your debate is coming, but I'm just teasing now because I wanted to clarify that for the WSIJ team. So a story is trending online about a major, notorious public official. You know this person that, this one's one is a bit too much. It is unverified. You are yet to check, but it is widely shared. You've checked a number of platforms, and yes, they are there. Your editor says publish now. We can update it later when we have, further information. What would you do and why? I need 3 volunteers that are going to give me 1 minute, quick 1 minute. Okay, Saliu, Ibrahim, I see your hand first. Please, WSIJ, unmute. After that, Blessing, and after that, Faith. I'll have to stop at Faith. The person with the name Samsung SM, can you please rename yourself, your own name, so that we don't call you Samsung SM?
Okay.
So go ahead.
Thank you very much.
Is Saliu your first name? Which is your surname?
Saliu is my surname. My name is Muaz.
Your name is?
Muazu Salihu. My name is Muazu Salihu Ibrahim. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, please go ahead.
All right. You mentioned that the editor said publish now. So what do you do? I think there is this thing that talks about quick fact check. Even if you have checked trusted platforms, you could explore the option of finding somebody close to the situation or the place and quickly checking in with those persons to find out if whatever it is that is being published online is true or not. And another one could be to reach out to a team of the person whose controversial issue is on air or whatsoever to be able to see if they can make a comment before you publish, because that would give you a room to understand how to update subsequently whenever there's need for it. So that's about it for me.
So are you saying you're going to go ahead and publish and then you'll make calls?
No. You make calls quickly, because this is something that as long as you are trying to follow your editor, you're also trying to understand that it's sensitive enough to want to check with people that are close or the team of the person who issue is controversial and is out there. So you do a quick check. If it's not happening, this is where your ethics, your own moral compass comes in now. Is it something that you wish you want to go ahead with, or is it something that you feel like, okay, the editors, yeah, of course, we understand the editors' word is final and all, but then now this is where your moral compass comes to play. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Faith, go ahead. So, I didn't hear the first name well, but Saliu said that we should, the moral compass comes in here. So make a few checks before you go ahead. Faith, what do you have to say?
Yes, good morning, ma'am. Good morning,
morning.
everyone. Thank you. So, the question says, what would I do, or what should we do? I think what should happen here would be, if you have some form of trust with your readers, your audience, it is better for you to tell the audience your stand. Like you have a story, you don't know everything about it yet. You don't have the whole coverage. So you publish the one you have. And then you tell them when you have better information, you can then share. The problem why I would take this is because of the fast pace, because the media is like, everybody wants to be first, everybody wants to be first. And if you happen to be a media house that don't publish something, when you see it, it seems like you're out of line. So I'd rather say I post and then tell them the information I have. And then afterwards, when I have more information, I update them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Faith. I'm not going to try to respond because, we still have a debate coming. So I'm just going to take the answer. But you are raising serious issues. Issue of, the pressure of publishing first, which I'll address. Want to publish quickly. And, this is media. You have a scoop. Somebody wants to, you want to make sure that your platform is known for scoops. When there's scoop, you guys are forced to it, or we are forced to it. So it is a very valid point. So publish, publish, and then you will be tell your audience that this is all we know now. If we know more, we'll tell you. Okay, that is what Faith said. Blessing, over to you. And that's our last comment for this particular session. Blessing needs to be unmuted. Request to be unmuted, Blessing.
Good day, everyone. Good day, ma. My name is Samuel Blessing. For my own point of view, my editor is my boss. For someone to be an editor, he must have practiced journalism for over a long period of years. Also, I was taught by my professor. So I'm saying based on what I was taught. So in this kind of situation, quote and unquote, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to give him a document to sign because my job is on the line. He's my boss. So he's going to sign that whatever comes as the outcome of this, it is his responsibility. He's not going to jeopardize my future just for a momentary something that won't even last. And that's someone's reputation on the line. And I don't know if he has biases towards that person. I don't know if he has anything against that person. And he's using me to fight the person. People are people that are high and mighty. It could be a politician. It could be a celebrity that has many people following him. And my career is just growing. So he's going to sign a PPR form stating that he asked me to do it. So if we go to court, I'm showing everybody that my editor, Mr. So-and-so, asked me to do this. Then I'm saved. Then I will go ahead and publish it. Anything he wants. If he even wants to do a deep fake and AI generated image, I'll go for it. But I have my PPR with me. Thank you.
Okay. So this is why I love people to speak. If I had my way, we'll just do Q&A for 1 hour. I will not even teach anything because in the people speaking, we'll just do 2 scenarios. And Maria will look forward to a session where we'll just do scenarios alone. It is the scenarios that will lead us to what we'll talk about because it is more practical. Blessing is saying, I have my own personal. I want to protect my space. It's myself. Editor, you are experienced. You have been doing this work. You sent me this errand. Come and sign undertaking. Full stop. Sign for me, and then we'll know what to do. Okay. So, like I said, I will not answer it as I'll answer it in the following slides. Now I need to run because even I see that my time is fast spent. Okay, so let me move to the next slide. So let's keep it there. Those of you that have debates, that have other things to say, please go ahead and put it in the chat. I will read it during when you are putting your debate together. So there are red flags, and ethics plus leadership plus media accountability. This is what builds trust. And I have a model called Rush, report until something happens. And one of the biggest pillars of Rush is that journalists must recognize that they are leaders. They must recognize that journalism is leadership. I have come to the conclusion that journalism is leadership. And I do not think that I came to that conclusion first. There are so many teachings in journalism that infer it, including the one that calls us the 4th estate of the realm. Remember that the other 3 estates are leadership bodies. So if we are the 4th estate of the realm, we're also a leadership body. So there are red flags. Number 1 is that everybody is reporting it. So let me quickly rush and let's quickly report. Everybody has it. It's only us that is not yet published. So let's run. The other red flag is that we'll fix it later. Let's publish, then later we'll be fixing it. But unfortunately, because of the nature of media and social media, it has gone far. The story damaging the notorious, because he's notorious, and I'll speak to bias later, because I intentionally put notorious there, because he's notorious. The easy thing will be to already judge the person that he must have been the one that did that thing, because he normally does things like that. But as a journalist, you must judge every issue on a case-by-case issue. You are bringing in your opinion when you say, that man is notorious, so they said he stole 5 billion. Normal now. He would have been the one that will steal it. That is why we have courts of the law. That's why we have courts, the court system, for us to judge cases properly. So for it to say, it's not a big deal, I can always pull it down, especially in this digital era. You say, we'll post it. We can always pull it down later. But somebody has already screen grabbed what you posted. 3 people have shared. In the days of aggregation media, other media organizations have copied and posted without even acknowledging that they took it from your platform. Just post it quickly. What matters And I always use this hashtag click happy generation, where a click happy generation, and it's not just your age, it's not just young people, it is people of my age, it is people older than me. We're click happy people because the algorithms are teaching us that the more you click, if you ask 1 million clicks, it has gone viral, then it is a good thing. If it does not have any click, oh, that's why when you share something, you keep going back. How many people have liked? How many people have clicked? How many people have shared? Say, this my thing is not trending. We want it to trend. But the fact that it's trending and it's popular does not mean that it is useful. It doesn't mean it is purposeful. It does not mean that it has moral clarity. So let's be careful. And this your generation, how many of you remember? Please tell me with emoji if you remember. I mean, it's very recent, the Lapo and Nepo babies. Napo, Nepo babies. Do you remember the conversation about some of us? Some people said they are Lapo babies. I don't like being in that group. So I chose to be a Nepo baby, even though my parents were not rich. Well, I choose to be a Nepo baby. Thank you for the thumbs up. So the Nepo babies is generally, Nepo is a short form of nepotism, which is that, there are some people who are favored, who have undue advantage because of their background. I'm telling you all, because you are all young people, that you are all Nepo babies. You are all Nepo because you have age. Josephine is laughing. You have age to your advantage. You have age to your advantage as you are. So because you have age to your advantage, you are Nepo babies. You have agility, you have time, you have numbers. If young people, look at what happened during NSAS, look at how young people, look at governors and presidents quickly meeting themselves because young people have decided to be engaged in Nigerian politics, and you have access to new tools. So use this for your ethics. Use this to your advantage instead of just using it for, dancing. Like every TikTok, this thing is a dance. Everybody is now a dancer. Instead of using it just for dancing or for showing your morning, afternoon, and night faces, or for, just following, saying people should follow you. Use it for your ethics. Use it for your accountability. Use it for your checks. There are tools to check deep fake videos. There are tools to recheck, when a conversation was first posted or when a picture was first posted. So use all of this to your advantage. Mariam, something tells me that I have 10 minutes more. Okay, so, and I have many more slides to go. So let me run. I'll talk about, you read this in my slides, breaking news competition, somebody mentioned it, deadline pressure, fact-checking pressure, but fact-check before publishing. Let me go away from that. I'll move to the fact that there's a 4-way test that the scholar Abachi J. Taylor gave us on ethics, 4-way ethical test. Before you act, ask yourself, is it the truth? Whether it is an editor or you found it, by divine action, it just landed on your chest and you thought it dropped from heaven. Ask, is it the truth? Verify, find evidence. How many times will your editor sign an undertaking for you? And I'll tell you something more before we end about journalism practice that you must be careful about. So is it the truth? Ask yourself that question. The second question about J. Taylor tells us to ask ourselves is that, is it fair to all concerned? Everybody concerned, including the accused. Because, sometimes we do trial by media. We try people on screen, on the pages of newspaper, on our short videos. We try them already. We've already decided that they are guilty. So is it fair? Will it build goodwill and better friendships, public interests? Will it build goodwill? Will it be beneficial to all concerned, especially, in the public interest? And then I move quickly to say, always, you have to aim for your best edits. Now, your editor gave you, but you must check. You must check because this is a profession where, and I don't have that slide here. Maybe I'll try to add that slide before we publish. I always say that This is the only profession that carries your name. If you work in Unilever, any of those private companies, and you help them to design a new product, when they do put that product out, we don't know the person who designed the can of Coca-Cola, the bottle of Coca-Cola. We don't know the person, who did the design of their graphics. Why? Because Coca-Cola has the ownership of everything. They have the ownership of every, I'm trying to find the legal word. There's a word for, there's a word for content. They have the ownership. There's a word I'm looking for. If Mariam remembers, maybe she'll remind me. There's a word I'm looking for, a legal word that I'm looking for, but they have the ownership in Coca-Cola. But this profession, journalism profession, is the only profession where when you create a product, you put your name on it. That is what they call byline. If I write a story, if I work for Punch will carry the story, but my story will have my name right under it. And that's my name. So even if your editor has signed an undertaking, the story will carry your name. So they will jointly sue you with your editor because it carries your byline. This is one profession where you put your name on the product. So I always ask, do you want to put your name on rubbish? So you must ask the right questions. You must ask, even if it's your editor and he has been doing the job for 30 years, the training of this profession is that you ask questions and say, editor, or you go and search yourself and then go back to your editor to say, editor, I actually called the man. He said he's not the one, so that you can quote him to say, oh, we saw it on 4-5 platforms have posted this, but when we called the man, he totally denied it, and you put his quotes there so that you are clear. So I say here that the story continues because I'm talking about the WSIJ story and my story as an individual. But now I'm going to go straight to because I have 5 minutes to go. I want to use it to explain the topic that you are debating, the background. Mariam or my colleague Confidence will give you the guidelines, but I want to just give context to the case study that you are going to be debating. This is a case study. It is a classic. It's a classic. How many people have seen this picture before? You've seen the image before? If you've seen the image before, give me a thumbs up, a yes, go ahead. Yes. Okay, Mariam has seen it many times. Okay, Awoyemi, thank you for raising your hand. So many people have seen this picture before. This picture was taken by a photojournalist called Kevin Carter. And he took the picture during the Sudan War. Kevin Carter was covering the war as a photojournalist. He's a war photojournalist, so he has covered a lot of conflicts. And he saw, there was a lot of death in Sudan. He saw the picture. He saw this in life, but we are seeing it as a picture. He saw a child who was crawling to the center for where the child could get food. We don't know. I think it was a girl, because I have the full story somewhere. If you look on my LinkedIn page, I actually wrote a whole piece about, when the story kills the storyteller about this. So he saw this boy or girl, I think it was a girl, crawling to the food center, trying to get food, dying. And then he saw behind that child, there was a vulture already waiting for this child to die so that the vulture could eat the child up. And he took that picture. And this picture was published. It was widely acclaimed. This picture won a Pulitzer Award. But unfortunately, a few months after receiving this award, Kevin Carter killed himself. And he killed himself. Let me not go into the story of how he killed himself, but he killed himself. And people, because part of the backlash of his publication was people were saying that, should Kevin Carter have taken that picture, or should they have just carried that child and ran with the child to save the child earlier, to take the child to, that place where there's food so that the child will quickly get attention. That at that time it was using to get a perfect picture. It could have been used to save the child. I won't tell you now whether the child was saved or not, but just debate. amongst yourself. If you were Kevin Carter, would you take this picture? Meanwhile, this picture is the reason that the war in Sudan at that time became popular, and people the world paid attention to it. Often, wars are very economically driven. If a war is happening in an African country or in a poor place, it's not as popular and doesn't get quick attention as, a war that is happening between the United States and Israel and Iran, for instance, is getting a lot of attention. So it was Kevin Carter's picture that really triggered global attention to Sudan at the time the picture was taken. But the two groups will have to debate this because this is ethics for us. And I will come back to the rest of my slides after you've debated. The vulture and the child. You are Kevin Carter. Will you take the picture or will you not take the picture? What would you do in that case? So there's only two sides, no middle ground for this debate. I will take the picture. Our group says we'll take the picture. Our group says we'll not take the picture. Fortunately or unfortunately for you, wherever the team puts you, that is where you must debate. Even if you have gray, they have other concerns. That is the nature of debate. It is for and against. So I'll hand over now. I think I saved 1 minute, or did I go over, Mariam, with my time?
You went over a bit, but it gave context to the debate that we're moving into, and we still have a few minutes for questions and answers before we move into the breakout room. So
Okay,
you are
great,
spot on,
great.
you're right on time. Thank you so much, Moturaya.
Okay, so I'll stop sharing. So the team will put up this on their own end when it is time for the debate. But I'll stop sharing so that we can go to Q&A.
Thank you so much, Musiraya, for your session. It was very thought-provoking, even for those of us that are not journalism students. We are still students of life, and so it was very thought-provoking. I will hand over the floor to my colleague, Confidence, who is our communications officer at the Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism. She will handle the session on Q&A, as well as explain the rules for the debate session that is coming up. Confidence, you have the floor, please. Confidence, you have the floor. You can unmute from your end now. Okay, while we wait for Confidence to come in, let me briefly explain the rules of the debate. So we are going to be divided into two separate rooms, into two breakout rooms, where we will argue for and against the ethical dilemma that we've been presented with. You will have 15 minutes to do so. So you'll be able to set up your arguments and select your representatives. When you return to plenary, you will be required to present these arguments, and you will be given 15 minutes for your entire discussion. So that's about 7 minutes on either side. And so you would have to be very precise to the point, and you must not waffle. So get your arguments down and be ready to present them in the most concise way possible. You have about 7 minutes on either side to give your presentations. I believe Confidence is ready for us now, so I'll hand over to her while you also prepare your questions for Moturaya to answer just before we move into the breakout sessions. Thank you all so much.
Good, good afternoon. Okay. Good afternoon, students from various universities. Please, can we start by applauding our Executive Director, Motunrai Alaka, for that very insightful session. Thank you very much. We appreciate, and thank you for giving us a lot to think about. So we're going to take some questions. So if you have questions, you could raise up your hand or put your question in the comment section so that we can take your questions. So when you're asking your questions, tell us your name, your university, and your question as well. So I'd like to get your question. Okay, so before, I've not seen any question yet, but before we get to the questions, I would like to also ask some questions. Motunrai mentioned some red flags in journalism. Can anybody tell us some of the red flags in journalism? Anybody? Tell us your name, your school, and give us an answer. Or you could raise up your hand to speak. Okay, Happy says yes. Okay. Blessing Samuel. Please, you can take the floor.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone, once again, or good morning. If I understood her correctly, or what I understood by what she said, I jotted down 2 of the red flags, which was we'll fix it later. She said it's a big red flag because anything you do your products have your name written on it and you want to be valuable for a very long time, you need to fix it now and know what you're doing so as not to destroy the credibility of your brand as a journalist. Then the other one is everybody's reporting it, the pressure of first to drop the breaking news. And at this, you don't care if the news is actually a soft news or a hard news, and you don't care about the people that are involved. So I think that's what I understood about it.
All right, thank you, Blessing. Please, let's appreciate Blessing. Please remember that you can use the chat box for your questions and your comments. Okay, we have Aisha raising up her hand. Aisha, please, you can speak. Aisha, please, Aisha needs to be unmuted. Okay. Aisha, please go ahead. Aisha, we cannot hear you. Okay, Dr. Balka has something to say. Dr. Balka, please, you can unmute and speak. Dr. Balka. Okay, please, you can also use the comment section.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Balka.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be on this program. Like, I was happy when you accepted the request for staff to join the meeting, because there's one thing I observed from the introduction. They said there's a gap between what you learn in the class and what is on the field. So the question I have, so that we don't take our time, is when she was talking about ethics of journalism, I know one of it is truth, balance, and all these ones that we talked about in journalism. I attended a meeting with Army. They invited me for Army and civil engagement. So when we went there, some of the people on the panel talked about patriotic journalism, which for me was the first time I was hearing that concept. Patriotic journalism, which means if there's a story, no matter how truthful it is, and you want to publish it, then is that story that threatens national peace and national security. Then there's a conflict between the army or police and the other security agencies that you don't report it. Now, keeping in mind that as a journalist, you have the responsibility to tell people the truth. They need to know, because nobody will tell them if the journalist does not do that. Now, how do you balance between the ethics, then your corporate social responsibility to the society to tell the truth, and national security issues. So I think there was a dilemma that we tried to discuss, but because of want of time, we could not explicitly discuss. So I just want to see how we balance, since you people are in the practice, we only teach in the class based on documents, but you are in touch with realities. I'd like her to tell me how to balance ethics, so responsibilities of telling the public the truth and the ethics. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Balka. Mutara, please, that question has been directed to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the question. It's a real question. It's our reality in terms of conflict of interest and patriotism. And I know the security forces who I know well and who I've had many interactions with, and we've had this debate at major leadership meetings, including I had a training at the barracks office there in Lagos once, and they will always talk about patriotism. But the fact is that we have to understand what exactly is patriotism. Is it favoring the government in power? Is it speaking what government wants to do? Or is it speaking to the people what the people need to know? There is a balance. Part of what I mentioned, apart from fairness in my teaching, was not doing harm. Do not do harm. So to do harm, for instance, is to, without being at the place where a conflict happened, you say Fulani ate men. We've tackled it with practicing journalism many times, that you can't use a whole tribe of a people, you can't label them so that in the psyche of people, they start thinking that these people are criminals. You can't do that. You have to call criminals criminals. Except, so if you now say, oh, this person that did it is a Yoruba person, or this person, you mentioned the person's name. As a people, we already know where people come from, generally speaking, based on names. But for you to now say, oh, Yoruba ritualists, or that is labeling. So a journalist must be careful not to do harm in that regard, to label a whole group of people or make a whole group of people look like they are bad because of an occurrence that is prevalence within their circles. That is one. Number two is that as a journalist, if you're covering conflict, for instance, sometimes it is difficult to know the number of deaths. It is always the people in the security, they always they declare less. They like to declare less than the accurate numbers. As a journalist, if you are lucky to have proximity to the scene, it is your duty to go check, the mortuaries, to go check everywhere, to try to describe as much as possible. If you don't know that 50 people died, say that, on the scene, you interview 3 people, and a number of them spoke to the fact that they counted 20 bodies, or I counted 20 bodies at the scene. I went to the mortuary, I saw 15. I understand that there are 30 people in the hospital. However, because there's supposed to be an official declaration of number, which is supposed to be accurate, because these are lives. Like I said, ethics is about our value system. The reason that we have debates over how many people died, how many people were killed, is because we do not value life as a people. And that is a fact, unfortunately. We don't value lives. One life. Another country will send troops to go and save one person, one life, because one life is critical. One life is important. So when we count something like people who died, and we just cut 12 or 13 out of them, just because government wants to look good, It is not okay. It's not okay. And your job as a journalist is to move to accuracy as much as you can. Sometimes it is difficult because you lack proximity. You were not there. It is people on ground that are also telling you, or you are relying on government sources. But make your checks, make inquiries, call. Has anybody been taken to the mortuary? Which households were attacked? How many people are in that household? How many people are now out? Descriptive journalism. Describe the scene. Describe what you saw. But however, what can do harm is that you've already gone ahead to publish based on maybe emotions that, 100 people died. But accurately, there were less that died. So as a journalist, it is for you to make that judgment, and then the use of language. There are languages that are insightful. There are languages when you say, sometimes say gruesomely mortal. Just describe what you saw. The audience will decide whether it was gruesome or not. When you say, the audience will decide. Don't be quick to use adjectives except you have clear evidences. This person was stabbed 20 times. It is better than just saying gruesomely murdered. Because gruesomely murdered, you don't know. The person could have been poisoned. The person could have been stabbed. The person could have been gunned down. Just take to the bare facts. The person was stabbed. We counted up to 20 stab points on the person's body when we saw the body, at the mortuary. People get the picture. It is clear, and it is a fact rather than gruesome. So the use of language, which is a totally full topic. I mean, a teacher asked the question. So the use of language is a totally full topic in journalism. How you use language, how you do your storytelling. You can be insightful. You can use language that makes people already angry or make people hate the government. You don't have to say, government does not care. A journalist is not supposed to speak that way. You can't say government does not care or government really cares. You can't use both. You say that, no, these people mentioned that they have sent, 3 reports, 4 reports to government, and none of those reports have been replied up to date. These people, there's a budget allocated to take care of the primary health center, but that primary health center has not been built. It's not government does not care. That is too ambiguous. You have to be precise. There's no hospital there. There is no school there. The roof of the school has removed. The children are learning under the tree. These are clear descriptions that are factual. Your pictures will show it rather than you saying, something like, general statement. So it is in use of language, in duty of care. Let's not be careless rather than, and then sometimes, very few occasions, there are cases where things are not published because they are not ready. The full news is not yet out. There's reports we are waiting for, but not just because we want to keep people in the dark. Because of time, I'll stop here. I hope I answered.
Thank you, Motiran, for that. Very well and very detailed. One word I'll use for everything she has said is framing. Framing of language, framing of images, framing of headlines is something that we should really be concerned about as journalists, and even as student journalists, because you have opportunities to practice. One thing Motiran said is that if you put in the work, your dreams will come true. But ensure that when your dreams come true, when you get that platform, you use it well and you are ethical in your practice. At WSCIJ, we value ethics in our practice, and that's why our core values are integrity, collaboration, and excellence. Integrity and excellence has a lot to do with ethics. I would really love to see that in your own practice as students, and even when you leave the university, you can also be ethical in your practice. Okay, we'll take one last question before we take some poll questions. Saliu Ibrahim, your hand has been up, so please let's take your question. You can unmute and speak.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Muazzin Saliu from Barry University, Kano, Department of Information and Media Studies. So my question is, you mentioned framing, but then that was along the line of my question, where you are in a place where something is happening, and then there is issue of ethics, your own personal ethics, and then there is societal ethics. How do you take account of all of these things? Because you could let's take for instance, we are in Kano, and then there is issue of transgender a news surrounding something like that. Kano is a very conservative place. So, and your ethics or professional ethics requires that you tell the truth the way it is. Trying as much as you cannot to cause harm while telling the truth. So, where does this come to play in terms of professional ethics, then societal ethics, then your personal ethics? Where do you bridge all of these gaps? Thank you very much.
All right, that question has been directed to Motorel, so I'll leave the floor for her to answer.
Should I go ahead?
Yes, please.
Okay. I like the example that you gave because it's very real. It's a real example, and that is the thing. As journalists, we face real questions, and remember that we are reporters. We are reporters. So what we do is to report the bare facts. This person was attacked, and this person was attacked based on the person's sexual orientation and sexual identity. You are not, at that point, when you are reporting, you have your personal beliefs, but your report is not a validation or an invalidation of a particular practice. If, for instance, you're a Muslim and you were sent to a church to cover a Thanksgiving service, you are just going to say, oh, the service started, the preacher said this. When we asked the people about the event, this is what they said. We asked people why they were thanking God. They said, oh, I this happened to me, that happened to me. Somebody said, oh, they were healed, they were healed, now they are well, You're just going to, it's just stating of bare facts, reporting what you saw. You are not debating it. You are not opinionating. You are not saying whether you like it or you disagree with it. That's not what journalism is. You're saying that, let's say, for instance, a person who identifies as transgender, who identifies as transgender is attacked. And that person was attacked because the person maybe dressed in a way that was looked at those identities that showed that, okay, this is a man, is trying to behave like a woman. And so the person was attacked. So you just described this person was at a market, then the person, on discovering that it was actually a man, not a woman, somebody raised an alarm and he was beaten. And then you go to say, in Nigeria, actually criminalizes, being a transgender. However, globally, this is the position. In this country, it is accepted. In that other country, it is accepted. Nigeria, also, there are cultural perspectives to, these issues. There are religious perspective to it. The Islam does not, the Quran quotes this, the Bible quotes this, wherever you just bring all of the picture together and you leave the audience to decide and to have a conversation. You create a space so that public square can thrive. We enable public square. We enable the public square. So when we publish, the public square will strive. People say, no. Why? Should he dress as a man? It's good that he was beaten. Another person will say, why should he be beaten? It's not his clothes. Is it not his body? Is it not whatever? But even in America, is it not even people are even marrying in churches now that are men in whatever. I said, no, that one does not happen in Nigeria. That is what journalism enables. And then because that public square is alive, policymakers will have to then listen. Lawmakers will have to listen, and they would respond accordingly. And the polity matters. But if you are opinionating, if you are somebody who, for instance, agrees, and you go and put that opinion, you will get beaten in your area. If you are living in an area, in fact, generally speaking, in Nigeria, you get beaten because many people are against it. But just be the reporter. Be the reporter and report the bare facts, what you saw, what happened. Bring context into it and give it, and drop it there. This person, the people who beat the person, they have now been remanded in prison, but he was also arrested because, there's a law against, that in Nigeria. You just report and you leave it. That is what reporters do. You report.
Thank you, Moturayo.
I hope I have been able to.
Yes, we appreciate that. Yes, thank you very much. Please, let's give a round of applause, give your virtual applause for that answer. Okay, just before we go to the breakout rooms, I would love to acknowledge the presence of a lecturer at the University of Ilorin, Dr. Fatima Abubakar. Thank you for being here today. She's representing the head of department, Professor Patrick, who is not with us today, but Dr. Fatima, we appreciate your presence, and to every student as well, we also appreciate your presence also. So we'll just take a few poll questions before we go to the breakout rooms. So I need to mention that in the breakout room, group 1, you will be in support. You're saying that the reporter should have taken that picture and he should have published that picture. But group 2, you'll be against. So I'll say that again. Group 1 in support, group 2 against. Group 1 in support, group 2 against. So you will get a prompt on your screen that will tell you the room to go to. So click the prompt, and if you have a challenge, we'll be here to assist you as well. So take 4 questions. You received leaked documents exposing wrongdoing, but publishing them may endanger a source. What should you prioritize? Public interest, source safety, organizational pressure to publish, unsure. Let's get your answers. You receive leaked documents exposing wrongdoing, but publishing them may endanger your source. What should you prioritize? Public interest, source safety, organizational pressure to publish, unsure. Okay, so a majority is saying source safety. Interesting. Others are saying unsure, right? We still have some persons saying public interest. Okay, more persons are saying public interest now. More persons are saying public interest. Interesting. Okay. Let's take another poll question. Thank you for responding to the poll.
Source safety.
All right, Moturayo has said source safety. So those of you that said source safety,
that was
please.
Yes, I only called what I saw on the screen. It was 73%.
Okay. I thought we were getting feedback from you. All right.
No, source safety was the highest. I was only reading. I'm reporting.
All right. Okay. She's reporting the bare facts. So, so source safety was the highest. Okay. Someone else is saying public safety every day. Okay. Public interest as well. All right. The next poll. Let's take one last poll. All right. When faced with an ethical dilemma, what should guide your decision most? Editorial policy, personal values, public interest, legal considerations. Those who want their editors to sign undertaking will go for legal consideration. Okay. Some persons are saying personal values, interesting. Legal considerations. Others are saying public interest. Editorial policy. When faced with an ethical dilemma, what should guide your decision most? It seems like it's a battle between personal values and legal considerations and public interest. So public interest is leading. Everybody, let's respond. Public interest is leading. Okay. So if you've answered the question on the poll, can you just go to the comment section and how do you define public interest? That's very important for us to know. How do you define public interest? You can just tell us that in the comment section. How do you define public interest? So I guess that's all the answers we have for now. Thank you for answering. So majority said public interest. Thank you for participating in the polls. And right now we're going to go to the breakout rooms. Like I said before, group one, you're supporting, and group two, you're opposing. Group one, you're supporting. The photojournalist should have taken the picture and shared the image. But group two, you're saying that no, he should have not done that. All right. Yakubu said public interest are those things that the public are always eager to hear, things that can put the public at safety. Thank you for sharing, Yakubu Zainab. Okay, Hassan said public interest refers to matters that affect the health, safety, rights, or well-being of the general public. It would be nice to know the universities you're from. So when you're responding, you could also let us know your university as well. So going to the breakout rooms now, just click the prompt on your screen and go to the breakout room. Public interest are the information that are beneficial to the audience, okay? Please join your breakout rooms. You will see a prompt on your screen for you to join the breakout room. Hello, everybody. Welcome back from the breakout session. I hope you had a wonderful time. Okay, some persons are still coming. Let's wait for them. Okay, I believe everybody's here now. Welcome back from the breakout session. How did it go? Can you use one word in the comment section? How was your breakout session? Engaging, insightful. How was it? Give us one word to tell us how the breakout session was. Okay, please, we have Samsung said amazing and engaging. Please, can you rename your device to your name so we don't have to call you Samsung? Fun, Juliana said fun, educating. Josephine said engaging, insightful. Okay, Samsung is not Samsung, it's Simon Sarah. Please, would appreciate it if you could rename your device. Someone else said it was engaging and interesting. Okay, we're glad you had a wonderful time. So we have a post-training feedback form, and you're going to find that form in the comment section. Please click the link and let us know how the training went for you. Now, remember that you're going to be here again tomorrow by 11 a.m. and you're going to have another interesting session, and you're also going to have a breakout session tomorrow as well. Tomorrow's session is on story ideation. So if you're someone who is passionate about journalism and telling stories, this session will be very, very important for you, just as today's session was also very important as well. All right, so we are going to start the debate session now. I hope you're ready. I hope that you are set. Group one, again, group one, you are supporting that image. You're saying that if you're in the shoes of that photojournalist, you would actually take that picture and share it. And so you're saying it's a no-no for you. Okay, now please, I would like to say that share your experiences today on social media. Let everybody know that you were part of today's training. It's very important for you and it's important for us as well. The WSCIG is an amazing organization. And like I said before, our core values are integrity, collaboration, and excellence. And we would love you to share your insights. We'd like to know how your experience went. And you'll find the hashtags in the comment section. So hashtag ProEngage, hashtag free to share, and hashtag WSCIJ. Now we're going to start with group one. Group one, you have 9 minutes. I'd like to hear from your two speakers. All right. So if you're the speaker, just raise up your hand and you'll be allowed to speak. All right, Faith, you can go ahead. Faith and Happy.
Thank you very much, everybody, and a very good afternoon to all of us. So I'm in group one.
Faith and Happy, you can begin now. Please let us know your name and the institution you're from.
Yes. Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Faith Adama. I'm from Yakubu Gowon University, now University of Abuja, and I'm in group one as the representative. So here, we imagine a child so weak she can't cry, and the only thing waiting for her is a vulture. Now, imagine if the world never actually sees it. Like no outrage, no urgency. Like what would have happened if that photograph was never taken? And from this picture, we see that humanitarians were able to help them. And then it brought public awareness where people really understood what was going on. This is not a matter of comfort or emotion. It's a matter of responsibility. It's a matter of what the public deserves to see, what they deserve to know. And as journalists, we are not just witness, we report facts. And then we understand that even Kevin went further to take the child and save the child. So we argue the fact that this picture also affected him because he's human, obviously, affected him, and which the child, we see that the child was saved. So I would close by saying that yes, it brought public awareness to the people, and then the people ultimately understood what was going on. Thank you.
Right, let's hear from your second speaker. All right, Happy, you're the second speaker. Please, let's hear from you.
Okay, we are for the opposing team.
Okay, group one, we're supposed to have two speakers.
Okay, the second speaker. Okay, I'll hold on for their second speaker.
Oh, are you done? Let's know, please. Ibrahim Saliu, you're the second speaker for group one. So group one, please continue. Kindly turn on your camera as you speak. We would like to see your face. Thank you.
Okay. I'll read. So yeah. Can you hear me? I don't know if you can hear me. If you can hear me, just say hi or raise your hand.
We can hear you.
Oh, all right. So we mentioned the issue of compassion and also reporting bare facts now. That picture brought the attention of the world to what was happening in Sudan as at that time. And it also helped in ensuring humanitarian aid gets to those people in Sudan at that time. So this goes without saying, but as journalists, we're supposed to report things and allow the people to decide how they respond to those things. Kevin Carter, having taken that picture, ensured that the whole world saw what was happening in Sudan. And when people start making arguments saying the picture shouldn't have been posted, we will talk about ethics, personal ethics, societal ethics, and professional ethics. All of this, except of course, I don't know your personal ethics, but then societal ethics and professional ethics demands that you report what is happening as it affects the people and how maybe aid or help can come to these people. Without posting this picture, probably we wouldn't be here in 2026 discussing what happened in Sudan back then, because only a handful of people would know about it. But because of what Kevin Carter did at that time, even though it took him away from us, like he committed suicide because of what he had to do, which also shows compassion and how much of a human he is, to see how heartbreaking it is, and then he still went ahead to do it. And we also understood that he saved the child. So saying that as journalists we're not supposed to be opinionated or have interfere with some other things, he did what he was supposed to do, which was primarily to report on what was happening. But then he also saved the child, which is being compassionate and having an emotion to show that he cared, and then he was touched, which ultimately became the end of him. And now we can also talk about how much in different parts of the world things like this are happening because of lack of reporting and people not aware of what is happening. No humanitarian aid, no sanctions being imposed on people who are committing all of these atrocities because people do not know these things. So it's very, very important and ethical to ensure that all of these things are reported in a way that people will be made aware of these things, to see what is happening and how much people, or generally if there is any organization or a body that could come to the aid of the people where these atrocities are all happening. So it's very, very important to note that before we start saying you cannot report something like this because of where it is happening or the sensitivity of what is happening, because if we're being honest, the picture is something that even if as a reporter or not a reporter, it's something that will break your heart as human. So you start to wonder, should I post something like this? Should I take something like this? But then if this will help millions of people that are affected by what is happening, I think the lives of millions of people surpass the life of one person that was in that picture, even though the one person was also saved. So it's very, very important to note that irrespective of how we feel, how sensitive we understand that some situations are, we have to take account of how many people are affected. When we talk about public interest, who are these people? How important is it to report, and how much is going to affect them when these stories go out? So it's very important, like I said. And when you talk about Kevin Carter again, we understood how much it had him as a person, as a photojournalist, has inspired a lot of people to go into this field and sharing, even if it's heartbreaking pictures, but then they are sharing pictures, ensuring that some part of stories that are not necessarily covered in either print or broadcast are covered with pictures so that people can see what is happening. We are seeing pictures coming out from Gaza, from Palestine, from Ukraine, from Iran, from Israel. All of this, a large chunks of people became photojournalists because of inspiration of what's happening. And irrespective of how heartbreaking it is, like I said earlier, people have to tell these stories because it's important to know that these stories need to be told. As journalists, we have a responsibility to make the whole world aware of what is happening wherever we find ourselves, and how people can key in and come to the rescue. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Group 1. Please, let's appreciate Group 1. Please give a round of applause for Group 1. Thank you to the speakers. So, Group 2, Juliana, Fidelis, and Sarah are speaking for Group 2. So, Juliana, please go ahead. Please kindly turn on your Juliana, we cannot hear you.
Ma'am, can you hear me? Blessing Samuel supposed to be the speaker.
Juliana, are you ready to speak, or is Blessing going first?
My Blessing Samuel that's supposed to be the speaker, not
okay,
me.
Blessing is going first. All right. Blessing, please go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Samuel Blessing from the University of Abuja, and I am the lead speaker of Group 2. So I'm going to start with exploration of suffering. What he did as a photojournalist, we get he's a photojournalist, yes, that this is his job. But he exploits the suffering of this child by taking this picture when this child was at a very, very vulnerable state. What we are seeing in the picture is one vulture, but I can boldly tell you that there were two vultures present there at that day. He was the bigger vulture, and the vulture that was about to devour that child was just a smaller vulture. I mean, he could have also helped the child after taking the picture. That we are journalists does not take away our humanity. Professionalism does not take away humanity. Humanity comes before professionalism. Because that child is a human being. I'm putting myself in that position and I'm asking myself, what if that child was my child? And you saw my child in that kind of position. There were things you could have done. We are not saying you should pay the hospital bill. Yes, it brought many awareness, but do we also know that that was one of the reasons why he killed himself? Because when the matter went out and he was interviewed, he won a Pulitzer Prize award. That was one of the Nobel Prize awards that my professor, when teaching us, Professor Chris, prayed that one day we are going to win it. Then he's going to proudly say, "Yes, I taught that girl, I taught that boy, and now this." So the award is like a big thing. So he won it, but then again, at what expense? At the expense of his life, because he couldn't look himself at the mirror. He exploits the suffering of the child. The child was at his lowest. He was the bigger vulture. I can say it bloody, he killed that child. That child blood is on his head. Now, my point number 2. Humanity comes before profession. Yes, we are journalists. And this is what the first speaker that took us in our class said. She said we should not listen to the voice of elites as just the only voices. What about the minority? What about the poor? What about those people that cannot defend themselves? What about those people who don't have a say? If you were to be a child of a governor now, I bet you wouldn't have posted that picture, irrespective of how much you was going to make from that picture. Or the child of a president, or the child of a politician. He wouldn't. He did it for his own public interest. Yes, it brought attention, but there were other ways too that he could have brought attention to that matter without posting the picture of a vulnerable child. That child died. That child had a future. That child had other things that he or she could have become. But the life of the child was cut short because of a careless journalist. Yes, he could have taken the picture. I'm not against the picture because that's his job. But then after the picture, what did he do? How did he respond? What were his plan B for that child? He just saw it as an avenue to make money, exploited the child. He's no different from the present day human traffickers. People who traffic people for their organs. He's no different. He got what he wanted and he left. That was why he committed suicide. That was why he couldn't look himself at the mirror. If he had done the right thing, probably would have lived longer. Now I'm going to end all of my points by saying all life matters. As journalists, those of us that want to practice, those of us that want to be academias, those of us that are just learning it, those of us that are going to leave tomorrow and venture into other profession, I have this thing. I want to be an investigative journalist if the Lord permits. And what I'm going to say is that a fight for one is actually a fight for all. If we stand for one, we stand for all. Not only rich people or elites are people who deserve to be heard. Poor people also deserve to be heard. Lame people deserve to be heard. That vulnerable child that was devoured by a vulture because of a grown man deserves to be heard. I don't know. I'm sorry if I'm being too pushy. Imagine if that time that they released Aliyah Shaibu, they just abandoned them. They were girls. I'm going to stop here. Thank you all.
All right, thank you, Blessing, for your passionate speech. And thank you. I believe that the person speaking for group 2, the second speaker, is ready to speak. But I would like to confirm, is he Happy or Juliana? Well, I see Happy's hand up, so I'm going to unmute now. All right, Happy, please go ahead.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Happy Ekonye.
Happy, please, you are muted again. Please, can you speak?
Okay. Can you all hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. I can hear you now. Please go ahead.
I'm from the University of Abuja. Right, so basically the argument is, if I was Kevin Carter, will I take this picture? First of all, the picture we are referring to by Kevin Carter, it was shot in Sudan in 1993. It became one of the most controversial images in journalism history. So I'll just go straight away with my points. First of all, human life should come before professional duty. If I was Kevin Carter, I would not take that picture because, yes, I know journalism is important, but saving a life is more important than getting a powerful image. You can argue the basic humanity should override any job responsibility. My second point is moral responsibility. Even if Kevin Carter was a journalist, he was still a human being first. Ignoring someone in distress, it raises serious moral concerns about compassion and empathy. My third point is the immediacy of the situation. The child was clearly in danger. Taking time to frame and capture that image instead of intervening could be seen as neglect. Yes, I know he was doing his job, but he should have tried to save that child. He should have tried to do something. My fourth point is, in journalism, it is an ethic that you should not harm. You should not harm. There should be no incidents where you harm. So ethical journalism is not just about telling the truth. It also includes minimizing harm. So by not helping, he may have contributed to the suffering of that child, even if indirectly. And then my sixth point is the public backlash reflects ethical concern. After the image was published in the New York Times, many people questioned why he didn't help, showing that society expects compassion from journalists. Something was said during this meeting that there should be room for the public sphere or something like that, a room where the public can get to say things. The fact that, let me say, the public was divided, some were supporting, some were saying he shouldn't have, it just shows that what he did was not necessarily ethical and it shouldn't have been done. In conclusion, if I were Kevin Carter, I would not have taken that picture, because humanity first, humanity before duty, humanity before responsibility. Thank you so much. And I hope with these few points of mine, I've been able to convince and not to confuse you that it's better to have saved that child than to take that picture. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Happy. You have been, you definitely did not confuse us. Thank you, Happy, for your, for sharing, and thank you to all the speakers. Please, can you appreciate all the speakers from your different institutions, from your different groups? Please, let's see your virtual applause. Thank you so much. It shows that we have, the future of journalism is secure because you're all passionate about human life. So we appreciate your contributions. All right, so right now we are going to take the feedback from Musaraya, and she's going to share with us her insights on this topic. Thank you very much.
Okay, it's good to be back. Thank you for the passionate debate. It's really interesting to see, and we're talking real life issue here. So the emotions are valid, and it's about a life. It's about a child. You know, even in times of conflict, there are special laws that protect women and children, that protect civilians generally, but especially women and children. So the passion is supposed to be so very valid passion, and always you're going to have these issues. So let me quickly go back to my slides, and let me go back to my slides so that I can conclude my session. Just a moment, please. I'm trying to share my slide. Okay, so this is where we stopped, and so I will quickly conclude. So what would you do? And you have shared your debate. So I'm not going to choose winner or no winner, because issues of ethics are not about winning. They are real questions, real arguments we must have. But I just want to clarify a few things. So the question is, there are never easy answers when it comes to ethics. There are some that are more straightforward than the other. And in many courses, the WSID always teaches on ethics when we have residential training on any issue at all, because our ethics is the bedrock of every other thing that we do. It's the bedrock of journalism, it's the bedrock of all professions, the ethics of the profession. And there are lawyers, there are ethics of law, there are ethics of medicine, there are ethics of the medical practice, there are ethics of teaching. There are things that, generally speaking, people will say, oh, that was right, but that was so wrong. You know, one of the winning stories for the Wole Soyinka Award for investigative reporting is, and I made reference to it just last week, is the story by Temitayo Famutimi, who is now Dr. Temitayo Famutimi. He used to work with Punch, is now with the US missions. And that story was titled The Virginity Test, because there was a teacher who decided to do a virginity test for a student. And generally speaking, there was an outcry because it is immoral of the teacher, even though it sounds on the surface like a virginity test is a moral thing, that, oh, a child in secondary school should be a virgin. But it is immoral for a teacher to conduct a virginity test on a student. You are to teach the child, not, you don't have that access to that child's privacy. You don't have that kind of, the teacher conducted a virginity test on the student. So ethics is about what we all know is right and wrong, but we always then teach about, I love the topic that I love to put, which is the black, the white, and the gray area of ethics. In reality, it's not always so clear-cut like the virginity test. Sometimes it is like the Kevin Carter case. And Kevin Carter was a South African, photojournalist. So he was African. He was white, but he was African. So number one is that every day you must seek answers. You must seek answers. Things are not just, oh, let's do it. You must seek answers. And your focus must be that we must keep this profession credible. So ethics is a daily decision. Every day you are faced with one dilemma or the other. To do or not to do, to wait or not to wait, to ignore or not to ignore, to accept or not to accept. There are always offers every day, and you must make those decisions. Your pressure is constant, whether you're as an individual, as a journalist. There's a street saying about pressure. You say pressure poor in my language, which means there's a lot of pressure. It's a reality, but it's a reality for the journalist. Imagine how many news come out daily, and you have to make a judgment. Some of you are going to become editors. Some of you are going to become media owners. Pressure is constant, but you have to make sure that your principle is stronger than your pressure. Because the pressure, the thing about pressure is that it feels so real because you can feel it. You can feel it. There are times when I read newspaper and I spend half the time crying, oh, how can they rape this minor? Oh, how can they kidnap children? Like when they kidnapped last week, the students going for JAM, I was so upset because, I also have a child who is writing JAM, and I was like, oh my God. And even when I didn't have children, just the fact that, how can somebody kidnap children? Students used to be the safest in the country. Our schools were the safest places. How can they go to school and kidnap girls? And some of them have not been found. So these are real issues. But your principles must be strong. Your principles must be strong. Sometimes you are offered money, and somebody is saying, we're talking about, such a thing as a picture. But what if the issue is that, you have a story and you have done your investigation, and somebody says, see, there's 100 million naira here. Take this money and bury that story. And this story is about, the life of children who are being killed because there's an injection that is being used that should not have been used. But here are you don't have a house of your own. You're even struggling, to pay school fees. And somebody says, take 100 million. Take 100 million and kill this story. So you have to be principled. You have to know why you are doing this job. You have to be clear-headed. And you have to understand that journalism ultimately serves public interest. Sometimes you might even be at loggerheads with your own media organization if there are ethical considerations, maybe ownership considerations, why they don't want to publish a particular story. But journalism serves public platform. The balance we give to journalists who are practicing is like sometimes you can push the story to another platform that will publish that story so that story gets out while you have a job, because also, the bills you have to pay, they are real. You have to pay bills, but this is not a bribe. This is your salary. Your platform does not publish the story. How can you move, that story to another platform that will publish it so that public interest is there? But I wanted to emphasize, I just added this point, that ethics is not the same thing as sentiments. The fact that, emotions are high, doesn't mean they are right. The fact that, people cried doesn't mean that they have not become right. So for instance, we talk about forced eviction, which is a very, very touchy topic. Forced eviction, very, very touchy. People are chased out of the place where they are living, and they are told to leave. But sometimes they are actually living there illegally. They are living there illegally. And they know that they are living there illegally. But, there's also humanity. But these are human beings. Why do you handle them that way? Why would you push them to get them out? You don't understand. But ethics is not emotion. It is, you have to make clear judgments based on principle. And sometimes the people can be wrong. The people can be wrong. So, these are ethical issues, but just know that ethics matter. And this is a favorite quote that I made a long time ago. It is that if the media is treated as a product, and I often add that the media is a product, news is a product, credibility will be its unique selling point. You are out of journalism business if you are not credible. If people cannot trust you, you are out of journalism business. You can be in another profession, but you are not in journalism. So you have to be credible. You have to work on your credibility. And it's not emotion. It's by sticking to the facts. It's not by you quoting, what you believe or where you stand. Sticking to the facts. Sticking to the fact. Sticking to the facts, which is really, really important. So finally, this is my last slide. I always say this I have this slide in this last two slides. There are two other slides I normally have that I removed in almost all of my presentations. And it is that, first, remember my short story about myself. Your dreams are possible. I'm asking you, are you at metacognition now? Are you more aware of ethics? And I would like to have emojis, to that effect. Are you more aware of your ethics, the fact that you have decisions to make and that your decision as a journalist? So please respond if you are more aware. Please, let's have emojis to see that we are more aware. I'm waiting to see the emojis. Yes, thank you, Josephine. I'm waiting for others to find their buttons. So are you more aware of the issue of ethics and the judgments that you have to make, the decisions you have to make as a journalist? Thank you. Confidence. Okay, I think I don't have one, but whenever anybody uses an emoji, your screen will pop up on my screen. So I want responses, please. Are you at metacognition? Are you at a place where you are more aware? Okay, some people are putting comments in. Thank you. So if you are more aware, I would like to invite you. I always make this invitation, especially to trainings for young people, that there is vacancy. There's always vacancy. People always say, maybe when I teach on leadership, I always talk about the fact that leadership is not position, it's not title. In this same organization, I bore the title coordinator for 10 years, but I was not just coordinating. I was working as an executive director. I was doing leadership work. So leadership is not title. There is always vacancy at the top. There's always vacancy for a new breed of people. If you are doing things differently, if you have your ethics right, if you have the right attitude, there's always vacancy for you. There's always space at the top for you. And you can make space for yourself. You can create titles that don't exist. But leadership is not title. So there's always vacancy for a new breed of young people, of leaders, of reporters, of media executives, of editors, entrepreneurs, politicians, name it. There's always vacancy. And I hope that none of you here decides to take up that vacancy to be the different person, to be the person who does it right. Now, ethics is not being purist. It's not like you never make mistake. It is human to make mistakes. It is human to go wrong. It is human to make a wrong call. That is why in journalism, there are processes. When you publish something wrongly, you also go to the same platform and you make a statement. You make a statement to say we published wrongly. There's space for our humanity, even in ethics. So it's not purist that you always do everything right. Sometimes you get it wrong. Sometimes you publish it before you do your best and you still get it wrong. I have a classic case, Mariam, just give me this last minute. A classic case that happened, I was right there with a major editor who is my mentor, Mr. Dakoloyom. There was a news about somebody and we were together and we made calls. We did our checks. We checked and he kept saying, should I go ahead? I was like, we've checked, we've asked this, we've asked that. Everybody said it's true. And we made all the verification and we published. And after publishing, about 24 hours later, we found out that we were wrong. But we did all the checks. We made all the calls. We called editors in town to check. Everybody confirmed it to us. The person who was at the scene of the thing was telling us, I can see, I'm right there. This thing has happened. And we published. 24 hours later, we got to realize that we were wrong. So there's space for your humanity. But we went to the same platform and went to publish that, oh, this thing that we said, we were wrong. These were the facts we had that made us publish. But we made a public apology to the person who was involved. But public apology is big deal. So make all your checks. So ask yourself, what is one thing you would do differently as a journalist today? And go ahead and write that in your comment section. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you for having me here today. There's a quote that I love that I learned that I'd like to leave you with. It's a quote by somebody called Rabbi Eliel the Elder. He says, "If I am not for myself, who will be for me? If I am only for myself, what am I? And if not now, when?" Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Please, can we appreciate Muturayo for that very insightful session? Please, let's see your applause. Let's see your excitement. We really appreciate the time you took to explain this to us. We appreciate your insights. Thank you for answering all the questions. And yes, so one of the important things she said is that if the media is a product, then what's going to be our unique selling points? Can someone tell us in the comment section? Let me be sure that you got that point very well. I was going to say it, but you know what? Let me know that you heard it. What is the unique selling points if the media is a product? So I'm going to be waiting for you to tell me that in the comment section. Okay, credibility is our selling point. Thank you, Uche Chukwu. Thank you, Latif. Thank you, Ibrahim. Yes, and so I hope that the things you learned today, you take it out into the world as you practice, and even as students, as you practice in your superior schools, I hope that you take it to heart. Please remember that we have a feedback form, a post-training feedback form. We want to hear from you. How did today's training go? What are some of the things you'd like us to know? Your feedback is very important to us and to help us in upcoming events and trainings. And of course, remember that tomorrow you will be here again. And tomorrow's session is going to be very, very, very important, very insightful. And I know that you're going to benefit a lot from that as well. Tomorrow's session is on story ideation. You're going to learn about how to identify a story, how to plan a story, and how to pitch a story as well. And I know that we have a lot of talented, passionate people, because I could see the passion in the room today. So let's learn how to direct that passion into the real world. So also there are going to be breakout rooms where you will have to come up with a story pitch again. So you're going to collaborate with your team members again as well. So again, let me remind you, please fill the feedback form. So tomorrow we're going to be learning from another person who's going to give his insights. He's Adejuwon Shoyinka. He's an award-winning Nigerian investigative journalist, editor, and media strategist with over 2 decades of experience in the media industry. Currently serves as a regional editor, West Africa, for The Conversation Africa. So tomorrow, we are waiting to learn from him tomorrow, and we also expect to have you in the room tomorrow by 11 a.m. Also, don't forget to follow us on our social media handles. We are at W Shoyinka Center. So please also remember that you can write something online, share images, let us know how the training went for you. Tell us what you learned from Muturayo today. It's very important for you as a young person to say that you learned from people who have done remarkable things in the industry. So please write a post on LinkedIn. I feel like the energy in the room shows that we have a lot of LinkedIn people here. So please let us know how the training went for you, and we expect to see you tomorrow. Remember that we're the Wole Soyinka Center for Investigative Journalism, and our mission is to use the tools of investigative and accountability journalism to expose corruption, regulatory failures, and human rights violation through capacity development, rewarding best practices, knowledge creation, research and advocacy, and collaboration with key stakeholders. So stay updated, follow us on our social media handles. We expect to see you again tomorrow, and we hope that tomorrow you have a very wonderful training as well. Muturayo, do you have any last words for us?
No, just to say thank you, and please have very high expectation about tomorrow. The person who is coming tomorrow is a seasoned journalist. I have a lot of respect for Adechunwa Soyinka, and we've worked together on many projects. He's a friend and a colleague. He's a seasoned journalist. He has paid the price for the work, and he has done very, very well for himself too. He's now editor of The Conversation. He worked in Nigeria with the Tell. He's also a Wole Soyinka award winner. He's a Soyinka laureate. He has a lot of caps. He's right now doing a podcast about diplomacy and international issues. So I have immense respect for Adechunwa Soyinka. So look forward to it. You're going to have a good time tomorrow.
Okay, that was a vote of confidence from our executive director, Moturai Alaka. So take that very seriously. Have high expectations for tomorrow. So we're about to have the picture session before we go. So everyone, if you could turn on your cameras so we could take a group photograph, a virtual group photograph. Put on your smiles. All right. Everybody say WSCIJ.
WSCIJ.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We're good. Okay, let's try it one more time before you go. Everybody say WSCIJ.
WSCIJ.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for joining. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you all.